In today's episode of the Pathwing Presents podcast, I got a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Olivia Santucci, and she's hailing over as a marketing manager over at O Solutions. And today we want to really deep dive into what the O Solutions is all about, how she's thinking about growth as a marketer, and just talking about her journey in marketing. So, Olivia, welcome to the show.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So maybe for people who haven't heard about the O Solutions yet, maybe give them a quick 360 overview, what it's all about.
For sure. So I think before I go into what the Owl Solutions does, it's important for me to articulate why we're in business and why this company was created. So I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of a short story. So our founder, Hugo Fuentes, is from Chile. He's worked in supply chain for over 20 years in various roles in the manufacturing industry. He's worked for companies in Chile, Mexico, Canada, and throughout all of his roles, he noticed that there were a lot of things that were going underreported in supply chains, a lot of anomalies, difficulties with tracking spend based on these old manual processes. And he thought there must be an easier way to do the day-to-day work and be able to track everything. So that was kind of the inspiration behind creating the Owl Solutions in 2018. He pulled with him a brilliant data intelligence lead who basically is the co-founder of the company as well. And together they created this platform. So what the Owl Solutions is, we help manufacturing companies improve their supply chain performance by leveraging data, insights, and actions through a full service cloud-based solution. So for any marketers out there, think of it as like the Google Analytics of supply chain. This is a platform that enables data collection, analysis, monitoring, visualization, reporting, and it integrates into existing enterprise applications. So that's just a high level summary of what we do. And I can explain a little bit about the challenge in the market. So basically, obviously in the last couple of years, there's been a push towards ERP systems for multiple departments within an organization. But what we found with our customers and with our target market is that even though this data exists, it might exist in multiple locations. So what they're actually doing is they're working off the ERP, but they're extracting that information into Excel spreadsheets and manually vetting that data because they have no idea where the data came from, if it's accurate, who's touching it. So they're operating essentially in data chaos with their ERP. And they're kind of resorting back to those old manual processes through spreadsheets to get the answers that they're looking for and the solutions that they're looking for. So essentially where we come in is we simplify that process for them. We put all their data into the cloud. You can update it with near real-time analytics, and it just makes their day-to-day work much easier, much more efficient. You can track your spend. You can track all of your core KPIs through our software.
Very good. That's very clear and succinct. What would you say, what types of organizations, what types of businesses benefit the most? Is there a certain size, certain spend? Like, where do they, where's the sweet spot?
Yeah, for sure. For us, mid-sized manufacturing companies benefit the most. We're not industry specific. Like we do work with retailers, CPG companies, oil, but I would say, yeah, mid-sized manufacturing companies within North America. And to get more specific, the types of individuals that benefit mostly from our platform primarily would be the everyday user. So the people that are going in that are managing their procurement or their inventory. We have different modules for different roles within the supply chain that kind of touch the planning, sourcing, manufacturing, and logistics side of things. So the everyday users, just because it makes their job so much easier, they're not spending hours of their day manually scrubbing data. Now they have all of that right in front of them, and it's a pretty easy platform to navigate. So that allows them more time to make strategic decisions and achieve their business outcomes. So they're the primary beneficiary of our platform. And then secondary, I would say, it's kind of the IT teams, because with a platform like ours, if you were to have an internal IT team to develop that, it would take probably a year to a year and a half, depending on the size of your IT team. And then not to mention all of the updates that you'd have to do as technology evolves. So for us, I mean, it's a cloud-based solution. We handle all the upgrades. We work on everything internally. And then our go-to-market is like, it can be up and running within a couple of weeks. So it makes their jobs a little bit easier. And then lastly, I would say C-level executives, just because it's like our platform helps improve their bottom line. So they're seeing that those results in a financial aspect too.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Now, how do these folks actually learn about the owl? Like, what would be sort of the client acquisition channels that you guys are leveraging?
Yeah, so I think a lot of what we're doing and a lot of our marketing is geared towards outbound initiatives. Just naturally, as a startup, you're going out to get a lot of your customers and investing a lot of your resources there. And what I've noticed is that with this type of market, traditional forms of marketing, I don't want to say they don't necessarily work as effectively, but there's more success in generating warm leads. And it's a pretty tight-knit community and tight-knit industry where people tend to know each other. So a lot of our success actually comes from events and networking opportunities and things like referrals. So while we do create content that is geared towards inbound, I typically find that a lot of our success comes from those outbound initiatives where customers are getting to know us as people first. They get to know about our experience in the field. It's easier to relate to them and talk to them about their pain points. And then you're kind of generating that warm lead, and they're more likely to hop on a call with you rather than outbound techniques that are like mass messaging or email marketing or something like that. Not saying those aren't as effective, but I think you have to be a lot more strategic in how you do that. And you really need to personalize it to break through all of the clutter. So yeah, that's where we tend to see a lot of success through events. And then another thing that we did last year that worked really well, and we want to continue into this year, is just partnering with other industry experts and having conversations. So we ran a campaign around data where we have a friend who is an influencer in the data space that was like kind enough to hop on a call with us. And we just had a whole segment around data in general, the challenges that supply chain professionals are facing with their data, and offering solutions as to how to approach that. So a lot of collaboration, like community collaboration and community building, seems to be driving a lot of success for us as well.
Gotcha. And what do you see for, which role do you see for the website moving forward? Like, as you sort of, growing up, what's the perspective that you have for the website, in the near future?
Yeah, for the website, I would say SEO for sure. We have implemented a lot of things to like geared towards backlinks and making sure that we're popping up on first, second, third page of Google organically, and setting aside a budget geared towards SEO. But yeah, I think just investing money into the SEO side of things will help drive more of that inbound initiative. So while we are focused on outbound right now, and we are still a startup, as our team grows, I think that's going to be like a really strong area of growth for us. And just not just the website, but using SEO and things like YouTube. I'm sure like YouTube's linked to like higher SEO rankings. So just all of those like little nooks and cracks and putting everything together to develop a solid SEO strategy so that we can get in front of our audience when they're looking for us.
Very good. Now, I would like to switch gears a little bit. We talked about what you guys are doing. We talked about the channels and the website a little bit. I would love to talk about your journey as a marketer, just in general, that even goes, beyond the experience at the Owl. First thing I'm curious about is there's so much content out there for marketers to, learn from and educate yourself with. Like, where do you find high quality information? What's your go-to resources?
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because I mean, I follow influencers, like marketing influencers, and I have before my job here, I worked primarily in the B2C space. So marketing for B2C is very different than B2B. Like the sales cycle's shorter, the channels that you're utilizing and the techniques are very different. So I would say for me, like in this shift and in this role, in a more B2B space, I tend to look for those influencers that provide value, for one, marketing and tech, and two, marketing for SaaS companies. So yeah, I follow a couple, like Chris Walker from Refine Labs is a big one that I follow on LinkedIn. But I like to just kind of look at the advice that they're providing and see what makes sense and what fits for our company. Because, well, the thing about, there's a lot of advice out there for marketing, but at the end of the day, it comes down to your customer. Like, someone can be telling you to do one thing or another, but at the end of the day, it's just knowing your customer, knowing what channels they're active on, why they're going to those channels, what they're looking for in those channels, and then being able to kind of strategically place your business there, in a way that's delivering value. So the example I'll give you is when I started in this role, I sat down with our current customers and just had a call with them to understand where they were active, if there are publications that they read, what social media platforms they're active on, and why. And then you quickly learn, okay, maybe they are using Facebook to look at photos of their friends and family, or they're going to LinkedIn for more educational content. And as a marketer, that really helps me determine what types of content to produce for which channels and which ones are investing more time into based on what they're more active on. So what I've noticed, at least for supply chain professionals, is when they finish their job, like, they are not interested in hopping online on social media to learn more about supply chain. Like, they get out of there, they're done at the end of the day. They don't even want to think about it. So that makes it a little bit more challenging. But where we are seeing a lot of success is primarily in LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And I would say even just looking at content that we post and the amount of people that like might click through and read like a PDF, but they might not interact with it. Like, I look at those analytics and I'm like, okay, I see that there's value here. Maybe they don't want to interact, but it has a higher like click-through rate. So just being able to kind of read the market and understand where they are and why they are, and that helps you as a marketer channel your energy and your focus into specific avenues.
Very cool. As we're slowly approaching the end of the interview, I'd have some last question that I would like to pose to you. I'd like to ask that to every marketer that we have on the show, right? If we would do a little bit of time travel, right? And we would go back to the days of either Western University or then afterwards Mohawk, what would be your advice for yourself for your marketing journey?
Ooh. I think if you're starting out and you're not sure which avenue of marketing you want to go into, for me, it was great. The job I had before this was in the B2B space, and primarily my history prior to this was in, the B2C space. But through the pandemic, I actually started freelancing with the Owl. That's how I got started with them, because I wanted to broaden my horizon in the B2B sector. And then I ended up moving in this direction full time. But I would say if you're not sure, just kind of keep your options open and experiment a little bit and look for opportunities to work in both sectors if you can. And a startup is honestly a great place to start, because there is so much that you can do. When I'm thinking of like corporate structure, I think, okay, they have a team for social media or they have a team for SEO. You're a little bit more restricted in your path, but in a startup, you can kind of do a little bit of everything and decide what you like best. And then it brings on the added challenge. Like, if you are a constant learner and you thrive in like challenging situations and putting together strategies, it's really good from that perspective, because you kind of get full leadership in a startup role, and you're able to set your own path and see what works, and you aren't given kind of those same limitations as necessarily as corporate structure. So it's a great starting point for sure.
Very cool, Olivia. I really appreciate you took the time with us today to be a guest on Pathway Presents. I want to give you the last word. If somebody would be forgetting all about what we discussed today, what's the one thing people should remember?
So I have a question for you. When you think about the world today and you think about it in 10 years in the future, do you envision a world with more or less complexity?
Definitely more, until at some point probably it will be less, but for sure more right now.
Yeah, exactly. We think the same way. So it should be less, but realistically, it'll probably be more. So at the Owl, what we try to do is we try to look for those high performers. Like in a world with more complexities, you're going to need more people to challenge those complexities and push things forward. So supply chains are present in like every day of our lives in all of these different areas and aspects. So our mission as a company is to empower those problem solvers to be able to achieve the outcomes that they're looking for in a way that is easy for them to do. And I would also add that data will become a essential asset for companies in the future. So understanding where they get their data from, how they interpret it, how they leverage it, all of that's important. So if we can simplify the data process for them and help them tackle those complexities in their everyday work through the like a DIA framework, data insights and actions, we're already helping them achieve like the optimum supply chain performance and results that they're looking for.
Olivia, thanks a lot for being a guest on Platform Presents.
Thank you for having me.